Welcome back to America 250. This is part 2 of this lesson. There are two ways of viewing power. In general terms, the right tends to emphasize order, tradition, stability, and institutions like family, religion, law, and national borders. People on the right often worry that rapid change can lead to chaos and that strong traditions protect freedom over time. The left tends to emphasize reform, equality, change, and correcting injustice through systems. People on the left often worry that existing structures protect the powerful and harm others if they are not challenged. Neither began as good or evil. They began as different answers to the same problem. How should power be used and who should it benefit? Did you know the words liberal and conservative are words that changed? These two other words appear often in American politics: liberal and conservative. Originally, a liberal believed strongly in individual liberty, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from heavy government control. In this sense, many of America's founders were liberals. A conservative believes change should happen slowly and carefully. Conservatives tend to value personal responsibility, limited government, moral order, and rule of law. They worry that concentrated power, even for good intentions, can threaten freedom. Over time, the word liberal changed. Today, it often refers to people who support a larger role for government in addressing inequality and social problems. This does not mean people changed dishonestly. It means language evolved. Now we will be introducing the word leftist. A leftist is different from a liberal. Leftist thinking often views society as divided into groups of oppressors and victims, and argues that power must be redistributed to achieve fairness of outcomes. This focus on outcomes leads to a key distinction. And now, equality versus equity. Equality means everyone is treated the same under the law. Equity means adjusting treatment so groups end up with similar results. Some believe equality best protects freedom. Others believe equity is necessary for justice. This disagreement lies at the heart of many modern debates. Why words matter? Many political conflicts grow worse because people use the same words but mean different things. A conservative may think, "I want to protect freedom from abuse." A liberal may think, "I want fairness and opportunity." A leftist may think, "Power must be redistributed." Each may believe they are acting morally. The disagreement is often not about intentions. It is about ideas and definitions. America was built for disagreement. The founders expected disagreement. They designed a system to slow radical change, protect minorities from majority power, and allow debate without violence. Disagreement is not failure. It is part of the American experiment. Many wonder what students are learning in America. 250. Students are not told what to think. They are taught how to define terms clearly, understand competing ideas, recognize fears beneath arguments, and see how beliefs shape power. Learning this does not choose a side. It teaches how to think. Political ideas are not just opinions. They shape laws. They shape authority. They shape lives. Understanding them is not optional in a free society. It is essential. Once ideas divide a nation, the next question becomes unavoidable. What happens when those disagreements deepen, and how does a country survive when ideas pull people apart? That question leads directly into America's internal divisions, and how a house built on principles learns to live with disagreement. Now moving on to a house divided by ideas, understanding the left and the right in America. Imagine this time standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon. You can see the other side clearly. You know it's there. But the distance between where you stand and where you want to be feels vast. That image helps explain something important about American life today. The deepest divisions in America are not always about people. They are about ideas. From the very beginning, the United States was built on shared principles, including beliefs about freedom, human nature, justice, and power. Americans have often agreed on those principles, but they have long disagreed about how to understand them and how to apply them. Over time, two broad ways of thinking emerged. Today, we usually call them the left and the right. This section is not written to tell students what to believe. It explains why disagreements exist, how they developed, and why understanding them is essential to understanding America itself. Two important clarifications. Before we begin, first, no label describes every person perfectly. Not every conservative believes every conservative idea. Not every person on the left agrees with every left-leaning position. Most people hold a mix of beliefs, and those beliefs can change over time. Second, liberal and leftist are not the same thing, even though they are often used as if they are. That distinction matters. Now let's discuss two paths that began closer than you might think. Originally, a liberal was someone who believed strongly in individual liberty, freedom of speech, equality before the law, and limits on government power. These ideas, often called classical liberalism, strongly influenced the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. In this sense, many of America's founders were liberals. A conservative, especially in the American tradition, also believes deeply in liberty but emphasizes limited government, personal responsibility, tradition and moral order, strong families and communities, and the rule of law. Conservatives tend to believe human nature is imperfect. Because people can abuse power, power must be restrained, divided, and watched carefully. A leftist, however, approaches power differently. Leftist thinking generally supports giving greater authority to government or large institutions to reshape society, often to achieve equality of outcomes, not just equality of opportunity. Over time, many people who identify as liberals politically have aligned with leftist ideas, even when those ideas conflict with earlier liberal beliefs about free speech or limited authority. Where the differences become clear. As these ways of thinking developed, disagreements began appearing in specific areas of American life. First, one of the oldest disagreements concerns God and religion in society. The left-leaning view generally argues that religion should remain private, kept at home or in places of worship, and should not influence public policy. The right-leaning view agrees that government should not control religion, but believes society depends on moral values, many of which historically came from religious traditions, especially biblical teachings often called Judeo-Christian values. This belief appears throughout American history. The Declaration of Independence says, "Rights come from a creator." The national motto reads, "In God we trust." The Liberty Bell includes a Bible verse. Hebrew inscriptions appear at early American universities. Not all founders practiced religion the same way, but nearly all believed government was not the highest authority. Second, one of the most emotional disagreements in modern America concerns what gives human life its value, especially human life before birth. The left-leaning view often argues that a fetus does not have inherent value by nature and that its worth depends on the mother's choice and circumstances. The right-leaning view argues that at some point, whether conception, heartbeat, or viability, a fetus becomes a human being whose value cannot be decided by someone else. This disagreement reflects a deeper question: who decides human worth? Third, there is disagreement about whether America is exceptional. The left often views the idea of American exceptionalism as unhealthy nationalism. The right argues it is a historical observation, claiming America was founded on liberty in a way no nation had been before, and that people from around the world came to build lives based on freedom and responsibility. This does not mean America is perfect. Conservatives argue it was exceptional and could lose that status if its principles are abandoned. Fourth, there is disagreement about what the greatest threat is. The left often argues the greatest global threat is climate change, described as an existential threat. The right often argues the greatest threat is human evil, meaning the ability of people to harm others when power goes unchecked. Many conservatives accept climate change exists but question whether solutions that expand government power create new dangers. Fifth, there is disagreement about race and identity. The left tends to argue that race deeply shapes opportunity and experience. The right tends to argue that race is morally insignificant and that people should be judged by character rather than skin color. Traditional liberals often agree with conservatives on this point. Sixth, across nearly every issue, disagreement returns to power and authority. Some believe authority should be limited to protect freedom. Others believe authority must be expanded to correct injustice. That is why political debates feel personal. They are often rooted in fear, including fear of oppression, fear of disorder, and fear of unfairness. Why these divisions matter? These disagreements are not small. They shape how Americans understand freedom, justice, authority, culture, and human nature itself. Understanding them does not require agreement. It requires honesty, curiosity, and courage. America was built on debate. Once a nation understands why it disagrees, the next challenge becomes clear. How do principles survive when they are constantly tested by conflict, change, and pressure? That question leads directly into the next chapter of the story: how America's principles are debated, challenged, and preserved under pressure.